Hey everybody, can you guys see me and hear me okay? I'm sort of checking my feed here and let me know. It seems to be kind of like just circling around here, so I'm not sure what's going on. Can you guys hear me, see me? Could you hear all the playing in the beginning? Is the Helix coming through all right? Okay, cool. So it's just me that has a kind of weird thing going on here. So let me know if something does change in the chat that it's not working anymore, and I'll see what I can do to fix it. But I'm just getting these like spinning circles of death here on both of these, so that's kind of weird. Let me update this one screen and see if it's okay. I don't know. Anyways, as long as you guys can hear me, that's cool. So thanks so much for stopping by, guys. Another live stream, not a normal thing I do, but given the situation, I figured it might be a fun thing for all of us to do. I figured I would just kind of start off messing around a little bit on the guitar. That was one of my Marketplace presets, Line 6 Marketplace presets. It's the Archon Ultimate. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in case anybody's interested in sort of the ins and outs. One question I get a lot of times is I have some that I call the Ultimate presets, and that's not kind of like bragging that I think they're the Ultimate presets. It's more about the fact that they have more snapshots and more effects and whatnot. So it's not me trying to be big on myself or anything like that. So anyways, hope you guys like the sound of it. That's a real favorite preset of mine. That's pretty nice. So we'll talk about that afterwards. And how's everybody doing today? Let's look in the chat here. Who do we have? Matt Krill. Hey, Matt. How's it going, man? Thank you so much for stopping by. Rob Groden. Hey, Rob. How's it going? Again, thank you guys for stopping by. David Bowman, Michael Bassick, Alan Blanchard, Charles Wynn, Peter Nagel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And USA Forgot Golden Rule. Okay. So thank you guys for stopping by. So I just wanted to kind of like do a real kind of laid back chat. Hope everybody's doing okay and remotely keeping their sanity out there. This gets to be a pretty trying time, and it's tough for everybody, but we got to do our best and kind of stick together on it, I guess. Yeah, so here to just do like a little chat, hangout. I got my coffee. Anybody else have one of these Yeti mugs, by the way? Not that that's on topic at all. Well, there's not really a topic, so it doesn't really matter, but you know, the problem with these things are it keeps the coffee too hot, man. You can't even drink it after like 30 minutes. It's still burning your mouth. So anyways, I love it though. It's great. Keeps everything nice and warm, nice and cold. So yeah, so I just want to do a chat, sort of an FAQ. This went over really well I think it was last week. I've probably like everybody else, I've totally lost track of the days. I don't even know when I did the last one, but just kind of, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Because like I said before, I get a lot of YouTube comments, and I really always have to apologize now. It's really tough to keep up, and I almost don't have enough time to go through them all. So I'm not ignoring people, but it's just like, it would literally be like a full-time job almost now to go in and answer everything. I really try my best to at least, you know, hit the thumbs up or the heart button or whatever. But so any questions, you guys feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll answer them if I know the answer. I don't know the answer to everything, so I can do that. So what do we have here? I think we do have one question. Ian Barrett says, any idea how Tom Waits gets his guitar tone for the solo and clap hands? I'm thinking maybe a slapback later. I'm not actually familiar with that. I love Tom Waits. Clap hands, I'm not, maybe I am, I just don't know the name of the tune. I'd have to go listen to that. Ian, sorry I can't help you at this very instant, but yeah, I'll take a look at that. I'll have to make a note of that. Clap hands, Tom Waits. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Michael Bassix is wondering if you have created any tones for bass and if you can speak to that. That's a question I get a lot. That's a really good one, actually. I've only ever owned one bass in my lifetime. It's when I was playing Godin guitars and they sent me one of their basses, and I actually tracked all the bass on, which album of mine was it? I think it was my album called The Learning Curve. For you guys that don't know, I actually, because I don't really talk about it that often, but I have like 7 solo albums out, instrumental solo albums. I've worked with a bunch of people. This is totally off topic for a second, sorry, but you know, I've done albums with Kenny Aronoff, Tony Levin, Marco Miniman, a ton of stuff. Brett Garcid and Alex Makachek have played on my stuff. You name Jerry Murata from Peter Gabriel's band. So a lot of different things. So anyway, one of my albums, I just was kind of like, I'm going to see if I can do all the bass lines. So I had this bass and I played it. So I can get bass tones. I don't actually have a bass anymore. So I really can't do anything about that at the moment. I don't know if I'm as qualified, let's say, to do bass tones. I think from years of mixing albums and engineering and stuff, I can get great bass tones. I don't have any doubt about that. But there's probably guys out there who are, I don't know, maybe more qualified to do the bass thing. But if I ever get my hands on one, I wouldn't have any problem to, you know, in doing that for sure. Any other questions here? Alan Baker. Hey, Jason. Hey, Alan. How's it going? Thanks for stopping by. Do you have a regular practice regimen? That's a great question. No, not anymore. And it's really funny. You know, back in the day, yeah, absolutely. I would sit there for hours a day. I would say I started playing when I was 10, and I quickly got, thanks to Guitar Player magazine, I think I talked about this last live stream. First guitar magazine I got was Guitar Player with Al Di Meola on the cover with one of the floppy flexi discs inside of it. And that set me off on this path of seeing if I could sort of keep up with Al as far as picking goes. And I bet you in my teenage years, I could probably bloody well pick better than I can now, because I don't work on it like that. But I used to woodshed through, probably from the time I'd say I was like 11 or 12 up to the time I was about 16. I would spend, you know, 8-9 hours a day just going crazy on the guitar with the metronome and playing along with, you know, records, literal records back then, right? And so, yeah, I had a pretty strict practice regimen as far as just working on exercises, but that was also a downside because it wasn't until later that I kind of realized, well, this speed thing isn't just all it's about. I got to kind of learn more about music and being tasteful. And, you know, so then I got into all sorts of players. But now it's funny, you know, I would say as soon as I started teaching guitar, and I started teaching when I was 16, and then I got very busy with that. I really stopped so much of a practice regimen, although I will go on, you know, stretches of time where I'm like, wait, I got to get my chop back up here. And lately it hasn't been one of those things, and I'll sit down and just pick favorite things of mine and just woodshed on them. But I probably should do that way more. It's just with everything that I do, I'm playing a lot, but I don't really have time to sit down and just kind of like woodshed, which I miss it because I do enjoy that. So I don't know, hopefully that answers your question. Robert Pitts, hey Robert, how's it going? Question, can you create a real reverse sound in Helix, like a Hendrix reverse lead thing? That's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to think that one through a bit. I don't believe that we have a reverse delay in there unless I'm mistaken on that. Something in the legacy effects. I don't know. I really don't know. That's a good question. Let me think about that one. That would be kind of cool for sure, because that is a really cool effect. I've actually used that effect a lot on some of my original music where I just like play it and then, you know, in the DAW kind of flip it around. But let me think about that one. I can't give you an answer on that right now. Charles Wynn, hey Charles, it says new line 6 gear noob, but I tend to dive in and have the Helix Floor Power Cab 112 Variax. We'll watch your tons of material, but any philosophies on developing presets when having all three? I don't think anything different than normal. I mean, if that's going to be what you're always playing through, then, you know, the Variax, obviously you have the ability to go through so many different guitars. You know, so maybe a preset is, you know, your design is more for a Strat tone. You don't want to be on that, but I mean, we can, you know, basically bake that into the preset with the Variax and like foot switch that when we change snapshots even, right? So that's kind of cool. But I mean, if you're monitoring through your Power Cab Plus 112, and that's what you're always going to be playing through, just dial things in so that they sound like you want. You know, if you're going to be playing live with it, make sure you listen louder so you get a feel for whether it's actually going to work at gig volumes. But no, I wouldn't say there's any special philosophy. I would just, if that's your system, then use that to dial in your sounds and you should be good. That's one of the challenges about making sounds for other folks, right? Because, you know, I might be playing through a Power Cab 112 or 212 or through my studio monitors with my guitar, and then all of a sudden somebody else is playing it through a completely different monitoring system, and yeah, maybe it's darker, maybe it's brighter, maybe their room is changing the sound of it. So it's a challenge, and that's why any of the presets are going to get you in that ballpark, and then you've got to kind of make, almost always make little tweaks to them to make them sound better. But who else here? Walter Brandel, hi from Germany. Hello, thanks for tuning in. Rob Grodin, any tips for matching clean and dirty sounds? I have a great clean patch that's really nice and warm. When I get a dry panel from it, it sounds very bright and harsh. The two tones don't go together. Yeah, I mean, again, it would depend, I guess, if you're using snapshots, because you could go in with something like, your high or low cuts, maybe your high cuts, and create a snapshot so that when you hit your drive pedal, your high cut goes lower to maybe take some of that harshness away. Or one of my favorites is the high and low shelf. You could use that and program it so that when you do engage your overdrive, that setting changes as well. I do that a lot, especially in a lot of the marketplace presets I do. So maybe try that. I hope that answers your question, Rob. If I'm understanding the way you're using, if you're using snapshots, that would be a possibility too. Okay, where did I lose the? Where was I here on the chat? Sorry about that. Anybody that I missed here? Scott Ruse. Hey, Scott, how's it going? Thank you for stopping in. There we are. Nikki T, hey, just saw your post. Hey, Nikki, how's it going? And Nikki says there is a reverse delay. Awesome, cool, that's great. I'm gonna have to take a look at that because that's a great question because I've never even looked into it. But yeah, that's fabulous. Maybe I'll do a video on that. Oh, Rob's saying, or should they sound the same or have different tonal characteristics? Really and honestly, there's no should or, this should do this or this should do that. I mean, if you find that you have this nice sparkly clean tone and then when you put an overdrive, it's harsh, then change that up. If you're not happy with that overdrive tone, then keep that clean and do something, whether it's a high shelf rolled back or a high cut rolled back or some sort of EQ to make that overdrive pedal coming in. Maybe it's just a tone control on the overdrive itself. Fix that so it sounds the way you want to. That's the beauty of the Helix, is we can do that so effortlessly, right? I mean, we can just foot switch in an EQ or a high cut or whatever we need to. So yeah, definitely I wouldn't say they should. It's really gonna be up to you in the end and to be happy with the sound of it. So Ian Barrett says there absolutely is a reverse delay. I feel like I probably should have known that, but it's not one thing that's ever popped into my mind in the last couple of years of playing the Helix. So that's awesome to know. That's something definitely to look into. And there it is, Alan Blanchard. Hey, Alan says reverse delay in the legacy section. That's kind of what I figured and why. That's a folder, or I guess folder that I need to go into and check out more. I really haven't explored. There's probably some cool things in there. All right. Matt Krill says, do you use the same guitar every time when building all your presets, either custom tone or for sale? Great question. No, especially on the marketplace presets, I really try to grab as many guitars as I can. I'll have the Revstar, I'll have a Pacifica, I'll grab the 2200, the P90s you can see over there. And I'll try it out with all those and try to find some sort of happy medium on the sound where it's, not excessively bright with any particular guitar, not excessively dark with any particular guitar. And then having said that though, a lot with my marketplace presets, I really try to dial the different presets in so that I'm not just repeating myself, Maybe one type of Marshall preset, I will go a little more on the bright side just because we want that sometimes to cut in the mix more. Then I'll do another one that's a little more on the dark side to kind of cover the bases because everybody's preferences are going to be different. That's number one. But also every song and every mix is going to require something different as well. So I definitely will try to make presets work with a particular or all the different guitars. Now, sometimes with the dialing in presets I do for custom tone, I'm trying to go after a particular artist's ballpark, right? And I'll usually try to use the guitar that they used on whatever particular song it is, or whatever I have that's close enough to that, because obviously I don't have every guitar out there. But yeah, that's a great question. But I would say, especially on the marketplace ones, I'm really trying to get it to sound good with as many different guitars as I have, And again, like I said, that's the tough part sometimes, right? Is to be able to send one out there that people can grab and just put in their system and go, it's perfect. I get a lot of that. I get a lot of people say, oh, I just love it. I didn't have such a thing. I played live. So it makes me know I'm in the ballpark, but there's going to be some people with a guitar with, super high output pickups maybe, or active pickups, or a monitoring system that's extremely dark, and it's really nothing any preset builder can do to kind of avoid that, because it is what it is. The end user is doing this particular thing, that's going to have an outcome on it. So I try to monitor in as many situations as I can: studio monitors, power cab, in the mix, out of the mix, high volume, low volume, different guitars, and really try to find that happy medium where it works. And at the same time, I also try and get the characteristics of what I know those real amps sound like. If it tends to be like a brighter sounding amp, I'll try to keep some of that brightness in there. If it is a darker sounding thing, I'll maybe try to keep some of that in there too. So hopefully that answers that. Maybe way too much of an answer. Nikki T says the reverse delays and the stereo and monitor delays. It's not bad. Great. I got to try that out. Paul Shedden, some good advice. Hey, Paul, how's it going, buddy? Appreciate it. And I'll mention my Mission Gemini 2 as well. So I'll use all of those to, and Paul's speaker, the Mission Gemini, is absolutely incredible, and I feel very lucky to have one of those. Especially with the, and the Empower knob that Paul has on there, and the folks from Mission have on there, is really great too, because if a preset does sound a little bright, just go dial a little bit of the Empower knob into it, and it just gives it that kind of real, amp in the room tone that everybody talks about. So that's awesome. Hope you're doing well, Paul. Hope everything's good. Guys, I don't know if you guys are still working, or if I guess everybody's shut down, but wish you guys all the best, man, and hope you guys are healthy and safe. USA for Golden Rose says, anyone know if Line 6 considering a presets option for specific effects, possibly drop down menus for specific effects? I'm not really sure about that. That's something that, I guess could be suggested. And there's so many features, right? That once we start using it, that we think, man, this would work. Somebody always brought up, and I don't know if that's what you're referring to, is about sort of having our own personal defaults, so that when we pull up, let's say, a particular delay, it defaults to what settings we like rather than just the factory ones. I think that would be really useful, sort of a preset per block, which maybe that's what USA is referring to, but I think that would be very cool, but I haven't heard that that's coming, but who knows, right? Jerome DeJong says, Jason, did you ever use an HD500X in the DT25 amp? Okay, so the HD500X, yes, I've used it. The DT25 amp, I have not, so I'm not familiar with anything about it, really. The HD500X, yeah, for sure, I have. And then you... Oh, okay, sorry. I was looking down a little further. So yeah, no, so that's, sorry. Yeah, so yeah, I haven't used the DT25, so I really can't comment too much on that. So yeah, keep the questions coming. I'm gonna switch back over and take you guys through a little bit, if you don't mind, some of the Marketplace questions I get. I have a lot of presets up on Marketplace. That, those kind of just help me to sort of keep my my thing going, and for all the time that I've spent on the videos and everything else. Is everything still coming through, guys? I just want to make sure. Chat's kind of stopped there. I want to make sure I'm still streaming through and everybody's still hearing things, and because I'm still frozen here. I got this spinning circle of death here going. So if somebody could just let me know in the chat if everything's coming through. Guitar and whatnot. I'm just going to tune up here while I'm waiting. No, anybody? You're good? Okay, beautiful. So I said, this thing's frozen up again. I don't know what is going on here. I do have good internet here, but you know how this stuff goes. Okay, even my chat over here is lagging. I'm gonna have to go over to here. Okay, there's all the chat there. Okay, cool. My actual studio page is frozen, so that's kind of weird. Let me go back and I missed a whole bunch in the chat here. So Les Cotton, hey Les, how's it going? Hey Jason, do you have a reference level of output volume you aim for on your presets? I kind of use the power cab for that with their LED on it. I don't have a particular one. setting, but I kind of go to the suggested thing there where it's kind of peeking into the yellow LED on it. I like that feature because I figure a lot of folks probably will be using a power cab as well. So I figure that's a good ballpark to go after. But it really depends on your monitoring system and whether you're doing studio work into a DAW or whatever else, right? So that's a good question though. Charles Ireson, hey Charles, how's it going? Thank you for stopping by. Paul Shedden says, well explained, but just like mastering a full track, you have to try to many different speakers and use experience. And that is so true. I mean, it's exactly the same parallel as a mastering engineer is really trying to get it to sound good on every system, whether it's a little earbuds or in a car or on a, super high-end audiophile system. We want it to translate, but it's obviously not going to sound the same on all of those systems, right? So, Chris O'Brien, what are your top 3 valve amps from days gone by? Oh, good question. Good question. Number 1, pretty much anything by Buddha. I was a Buddha artist for a while. A good friend of mine, Jeff Bober, built those amps. I love those, man. The Buddha Twin Master, the Buddha Super Drive 30. I really hope the Line 6 folks at some point, I know they have a Twin Master, and I hope that they do model that at some point. That would be very cool. Jeff also then started a different company called East Amplification. I love those. Those are amazing. And there's a new friend of mine who I did a video just this week on this pedal, Drew Fopp. He's actually the guitar tech for Smashing Pumpkins, Jeff Schroeder from the Smashing Pumpkins. So became friends with Drew last year after going and hanging out backstage at a Pumpkin show. He made this pedal. This is really cool. Check out my video on this. But I got to play Jeff's, I think it was a 2-watt tube amp. Man, oh man, was this thing ever amazing. What a sweet amp. So. And then, just some old Marshalls, right? Those are amazing as well. And some old Fenders as well, right? So the classics, right? Ian Barrett says, could you explain the difference between flange and phasing? So for modulation effects, what you're dealing with is, chorus and flange are a very sort of similar thing. And what you're doing is you're taking a low frequency oscillator that is taking a delay and changing the length of that delay so that, and then mixing that signal in. So modulating a delay and mixing that signal back in to the original signal. And then what you end up happening is you get these weird kind of pitchy things going on. And with a flanger, you then also send the regeneration, you send that process signal back through and reprocess it again, which you can kind of get those big jet airliner type sounds, right? So chorus and flange, it's basically going to be like different delay times. I believe chorus are longer delays and flange are shorter delays. With phase shifters, you have it, but the LFO, the low frequency oscillator, is affecting a all band pass filter, I believe, and then modulating that to different frequencies and then mixing that back in with the signal, if that makes any sense. There's some great resources online to read about that, but that's hopefully that sort of gives you a bit of a inkling into that. So Paul Shedden says, thanks for the show. Oh, anytime, buddy. Yes, still working. Oh, that's great to hear. I'm glad you guys are still able to get at it there. So that's great. Hatchet Jack says, you're so good at guitar. Oh, thanks so much. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Very nice. USA Forgets says, exactly. Thanks. Says, oh, good, cool. Everybody says, yes, working. That's how behind I am here. Let's see what else we've got. The 287s. Hey, Chris, how's it going, buddy? Chris is a good old friend of mine from back in my hometown. Thanks for stopping by, bud. Michael Bassick, thanks for the super chat, buddy. I really, really appreciate it. He says, thanks, Jason. Keep the good info coming. I really, really appreciate that. That's really nice and my pleasure. Matt Girl says, everybody is home and online. Yeah, exactly. Nikki T says, Jason, I really appreciate the video on Variax plus Helix. Helped a lot. I now only use an IR mix and a parallel blended path at low percentage. Yeah, I'm yet to try. I assume, are we? I guess you're talking about the acoustic, right? If so, yeah, I haven't really tried any acoustic IR. So many people throw that idea my way, but I've never really tried them. I haven't had to. I love these silent guitars. They're so amazing. And before that, I had Godin multi-ax, which I could do a lot of studio work with, and they worked really well. Line 6 needs to get to a shuriken. I'm not sure what that means. To get me a shuriken, Gord? I'm not sure if that's what you meant. I have a couple Variax already guitars. I have an 89 and a 59. Scott Ruse, as a workaround, create a preset with the settings you want for specific block and copy paste. Yeah, that's true. You could do that as a workaround. Nikki T says, wow, you use a meter, so controversial, right? Scott Riesbeck, thanks for stopping by, Scott. Hi, everyone. Any tips for a Helix PC Plus setup to cut through the room in practice space with acoustic drums and other 412 guitarist bassists with cab? Only vocals go through a single monitor on a pull. Well, to cut through, are we talking volume or EQ? All right, and that's a good question to kind of to follow up before I answer that question. But volume-wise, you want to make sure that you have enough signal going into it, and you have whatever output is feeding it set to line out, so that you're getting enough signal into it. And then set it so that the output of your preset or your Helix is hitting it loud enough so that you are getting that LED into the yellow area, right? And that's going to kind of get you maximum volume. Now, as far as cut through, you know, taking a little bit of high shelf EQ and adding that in, maybe everything above 2 kilohertz by a couple dB, not too much because you don't want to add like real shrillness to it, or maybe not setting your high cuts so low if you are setting them. So there's a couple quick points I could make that might help, but Scott Riesbeck also says, love the presets I bought, Jason. Thank you. Oh, thank you, and thanks for your support. I really, really appreciate that. Charles Arzens, have you done a preset for slide guitar? No, but that's been in the back of my mind for a long time, and it's been a request I've had come. So yeah, I definitely have it. It's coming for sure. Nikki T says, speaking of LFOs, I would love to see one go into Helix and be able to apply it in any parameters you can with an expression. But absolutely, I agree with that. That would be such a cool feature. I've oftentimes thought of that too. Brad Miller, hey Brad, how's it going? He says, I'm late. No worries, never late. We're good. Scott Ruse says, the power cab is very directional. It could be where the power cab is pointing unless you put its output through the PA. And that's true too. Where you're standing in relation to it, you know, is definitely a potential issue. Ian says, thanks for getting my question. It's nice to be part of a channel that isn't so huge, just can't get through. Planning on supporting you financially someone when I can, top tier content. Oh, thanks so much, Ian. I really appreciate the support too. And I really try, like I said, I try to get through to everybody's question. I feel bad as of late because the channel has grown a fair amount. And along with that, obviously comes more interaction. And I really prided myself before in trying to get to everybody all the time, but it's almost an impossibility now, but I really try my best. Paul Shen says, maybe parallel compression to help you cut through too. Yeah, you know, because what the compressor can do is it can squash the dynamic range down just a bit so you don't have little peaks coming through. That allows you to turn your overall volume up and not, you know, have these peaks kind of making you go, oh, that sounds harsh. You control those and then you can get your whole overall average level up. So that's a good point too, Paul. Thanks a lot for that. Chris O'Brien, your thoughts on Dimebag's tone? Would you do a dialing in if you haven't already? That's another one that's been in the back of my mind. Honestly, never was a big fan of his tone, to be honest with you. I mean, it is his tone. It is what it is, but it would be cool to do. I should do it. It's crossed my mind. Again, it's just finding the time to get to it. But, you know, when I say it's not my cup of tea, I couldn't imagine, you know, Pantera's music with anything but that tone at the same time. So who am I to say it's not my cup of tea? You know, it is Dimebag after all, and he kind of knew what he was doing. So I'm going to take a little break here, and we'll go over to Marketplace, what I was about to talk to there. And so this is my Archon. Let me see here. I was tuning. Archon Ultimate preset, and one thing I want to tell everybody, what happened is this, and this kind of came to my attention through me just noodling around with it at one point to use it for a track, and I noticed that the reverb was set wrong. It was set to like this octa reverb, which was some weird thing in the saving of the preset. I uploaded it to that, and I guess people were downloading it with this, which was not how I intended it to be at all. So anybody who's purchased the Archon Ultimate, it's fixed now on Marketplace. You can go into your customer account and re-download it with the proper reverb. It wasn't the end of the world. You could have just turned the reverb off or change it to something else. But I felt really bad about that because I didn't even realize it. I'm usually very meticulous about checking those things. But I'm wondering if it, you know, maybe in a software update or something some bug kind of messed things up. So anyways, it's fixed now. So, you know, a lot of folks ask me, I have like the Placator Ultimate and the Archon Ultimate and whatnot. And they ask me, well, what is the deal with that Ultimate thing? And like I said before at the beginning of the stream, I'm not trying to make it sound like, you know, this is the ultimate sound or anything like that. Although I really like these sounds. But it's more referring to the fact that these presets are going to have usually more snapshots than say 3 or 4, and more effects, and the pedal board set up kind of in stomp mode to be able to access the effects as well. So I just want to take you through some sounds. So basically I have on the Archon Ultimate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 snapshots going clean 1, clean 2, push 1, push 2. I call the push one sort of edge of breakup tones, sort of getting into overdrive, excuse me. And then overdrive 1 and overdrive 2 is what I have as far as the snapshots go. And then in the stomp mode, I have a Cosmos Echo, room reverb, a tremolo, chorus, flanger, the ubiquitous vibe, and the deluxe phaser. So a full pedal board thing, and you just switch between those. So here's some of the sounds. Here's the clean one that I like so much. If I go over to stomp mode and put like a chorus on that, a little bit of trem. So that's the clean one with a little delay and trim. There's the phaser on it as well. The ubiquitous vibe. Flange. So those are all dialed in quite nicely. The clean 2, a little bit different sound. Sometimes I'll set them so the volumes are a little bit different. So if you want a little bit of an ability to switch between one and the next, you get something that's a little different. Again, we could put some chorus on that. And my tuning is off here. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. And even on these cleans, on like a humbucker, that was the neck pickup, but I have it set so they're not going to break up too much. And then that moves up into push 1. And again, stuff like this works nice in a mix, some chorus and trim and maybe echo. So that one's kind of nice. Turn those effects off. Push 2. Again, you know, just kind of progressing in amounts of overdrive. Something that's going to cut in the mix. A lot of people make the mistake, in my opinion, of making things too dark, you know, and sometimes you want something that's a little bit more on the brighter, thinner side that'll not be competing with the kick drum and the bass guitar. So a lot of times I do that, you know, so that these are going to work really well in the mix without having to do much. And anytime I do a demo video, it's exactly what I do. I record the guitars, I do not touch them in the mix, so you can hear what this is going to sound like inserted right into that mix. But I thought this would be fun too, just let you hear what some of these sound like outside of the mix as well. And then up to overdrive 1, which I really like on this one. So really liking that. And then a lot of times with these two, I'll always go kind of to an extreme setting. Overdrive 2, I'll go to a setting that's kind of like more extreme than what I would normally do. More gain than I would ever want even, but some folks like that. And sometimes I've been in live situations where you just need that little extra. So whereas if I was using this preset live, I might stop at OD1 and just never go anywhere else. But OD2 sounds like this. You know, with some of the effects on it, the flanger. Okay, nobody needs to hear that. Sorry. So anyways, that's some of the different tones and the effects that come with that. And that's kind of like what the ultimate presets are about, is just, sorry, getting that back on my stand, is just getting something more, more snapshots, more flexibility, a lot of possibilities, from very clean all the way up to something very extreme that'll cover a lot of grounds, you know, and stuff that just works in the mix, right away, you know. So sometimes, yes, you know, you might listen to it and go, oh man, that sounds a little thinner than I would like, you know. But think about using it with a band where you're competing with other things and needing that to cut through. So that's a lot of what that has to do with. Let me go back to the chat here and see what's. Where were we? Crystal Marine. Oh, Dimebag's Tone. I think that's the last thing I was talking about. Okay. Nikki T says, yes, to be in a small group, and he's inspired me to get some of his presets. I usually make my own just because he's so helpful to me and they're good. Thank you again, Nikki. Appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, Paul says software changes can do that. And absolutely right. Like I said, that weird little anomaly with the software update or whatever it was, that things sometimes do save differently. So that's another thing. If anybody ever does get a marketplace preset and something doesn't seem right in it, please let me know so I can go rectify that. Because things do get weird. Sometimes I've had situations where just in the uploading or transferring of the file, something gets corrupt and it doesn't load properly and whatever else. Not so much with marketplace presets, but in transferring presets back and forth to people. So it's weird, you know, the ghost in the machine, as the police would say, I guess, right? But Scott Riesbeck says, what's everyone using for lead boost in live situations? Example, like 6 dB of gain boost. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a real personal preference thing, right? I've seen people go 3 dB, 6 dB. It depends on what you need and what you want to go with. But yeah, I mean, just, you know, try it out, experiment, because a lot of those things are hard to answer because they're such personal preference-based things, right? But Matt Creel says, Placator Ultimate is a fantastic preset. Highly recommend it if you don't. Oh, thanks so much, Matt. I really appreciate it. I really like that one too, and I've used that on a lot of different demos and whatnot. So, Ian Barrett says, one last question. This is a big one. Can you change between expression pedals without pushing the one you're on to its maximum setting? Oh, that's a good question too. I almost don't. I have to think that one through as well, but I'm. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking that I'm not sure if there would be a way to do that other than to go see our good friend Paul at Mission and just buy yourself an extra expression pedal. I have a bunch of Paul's Line 6 Mission pedals and they're amazing. I love them. I actually tend to use those more than I use the built-in ones. So that's a possibility too. Always just help them out and support a great guy and a great company. Where else am I here? David Bowens has got the Placator. It's awesome. Well, thank you so much also, David. That's pretty much appreciated. Really appreciate the support, guys. Matt Krill says, sounds nice. Thank you very much. Scott Riesbeck says, by the way, Jason, your skills are uber watching your preset demos. It's like listening to the studio cut. Oh, thank you so much. And you know what's really funny about that? I'm glad you said that, because what's interesting about that is that when I pick demos, I'm never creating, especially for the marketplace stuff, I'm not creating the preset to sound like a particular song. I'm creating it to be flexible, usable in many situations. After I create the preset, what I do, just to give you guys a little insight into how I do it, I'll pick songs that I think will suit the preset. And that's why I always put this disclaimer at the beginning that says I'm not trying to recreate this, because, you know, in YouTube land, there's always somebody, I've had it so many times, always somebody who comes in and says, well, that doesn't sound like that song, and that doesn't sound like that song. I'm like, yeah, did you read the disclaimer at the beginning? I wasn't supposed to. And, you know, there's always got to be one of those in every crowd, or many of those in every crowd, unfortunately. But anyway, so yeah, I'll create the preset and then sort of think of what demo tunes I want to use for it. And then what I do is I just do it exactly as the original was done. You know, if there's 2 guitar parts, I do both guitar parts. If there's 3 guitar parts, I do all 3 of them, and tell which snapshots are being used and whatnot. But I never touch them in the mix after. What I do sometimes, and this is definitely a thing that happens before I release it, is I will dial in the preset, get it, you know, 95% there, 90% there, depending. Pick the songs that I want to use for it. And then from there, I will load it into, I always record through USB 7 the DI signal, and then I'll tweak it in the mix with Helix Native, starting off the preset the way I dialed it in. And then sometimes in a mix, I'll say, you know what, this might just need a little bit more of this, a little bit of that. I tweak that, and then that becomes part of the preset, right? And so that's how I'll tweak it. So I'm never using any outside processing. It's always within Helix or Helix Native, which then obviously gets put back out into the Helix and exported for the marketplace. So that's a common thing that I'll do as part of the process. Nikki T says, how does your Pacifica compare to the standard feel-wise? Standard as in, sorry, like the, maybe just let me know which standard you're talking about. Are you talking about Variac standard? Because actually, if it is, I've only ever played one Variac standard, which is my buddy Chad Husky's, and he changed the neck on it. So I don't think I've ever actually played a standard, Variac standard, so I can't compare to that directly. Alan Baker says, ditto sounds nice. Thank you, Alan. 287 says, hey bud, which artist inspiring these days for whatever reason, style, feel, composition, etc.? Ooh, good question. I think anybody who has watched my channel, I love Ian Thornley from Big Wreck, fellow Canadian boy. He just blows my mind, man. Everything he does from, and not even just his guitar playing, his songwriting, his singing, the guitar ideas, the soloing, and you know, he has this amazing ability as a soloist, but he doesn't always use it, right? It's just he has the perfect parts for the song. So anybody who hasn't listened to Big Wreck, check them out. Ian Thornley is right up there for somebody that would be big on my list right now. Other than that, like new people, lately I've been going back to a lot of the older stuff. You know, I've been shooting some videos with some old Rush stuff, and you know, that's nothing new. Everybody knows I'm a Rush head, right? So kind of got away from it after Neil Peart died. I went on this binge right away, just kind of, you know, because I couldn't get my head around. Then I kind of got away from it for a bit, and then now I'm kind of getting back into it. But yeah, Ian Thornley for sure. Man, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank here now on who else I've been into, but I'll have to think that through. Dran Track says, nice guitar. I just got the 611 HFM with the Duncans, and I love it. This is also a 611. I can't remember the other letters to go after. This has the Duncan P90 in the neck and a Duncan Bucker in the bridge. I'm so bad. I am the worst. People ask, what kind of pickups are those? And I'm like, I know what they sound like, and I know which guitar I need to grab to get it sound, but I couldn't tell you which Duncan pickup is in that. That's terrible, right? I should know these things, but I don't, and that's terrible. But anyways, Ian Barrett says, this question is for everyone. Best budget 335 style guitar, $300 to $600 range. That's a good question. I haven't tried too many. I mean, this one here behind me, over here is the Yamaha SA2200. I love it, but it's not a $300 to $600 guitar, unfortunately. It's a little more money than that, or quite a bit more money than that, but it's a fabulous, probably one of the best 335 style guitars I've ever used. And I'm not just saying that because I'm affiliated with Yamaha. That guitar is, I've had my eyes on that before I even was affiliated with Yamaha in any way. I'm gonna finally get a chance to drink some coffee here. Matt Krill says Gretsch has some options that would be in that price range. That's true. That's great. Yeah, it would be. Charles says an Epiphone maybe, yeah, or an Epi. That's another good suggestion. What else do we have? Van Halen fun, yeah. Alan Baker says, is 24 fret guitar worth it like a Steve Vai guitar? You know, only very, very recently have I got a 24 fret guitar when I picked up, or I got the Variax JTV 89F. And I missed having that for a long. There was certain things I would do, like covers or whatever, and I needed that. You know, I'd end up going up to the 22nd fret and just like bending like a stupid amount and hoping I didn't snap any strings. So I really like to have a guitar with it. It just opens up more possibilities, you know, but obviously not all guitars are going to have it. But I love it. I'd say it's worth to have for sure. Jamtrack says, I won't give Gibson Epiphone money and would look at something else like an Ibanez. I can sort of understand where you're coming from with that. Jamtrack says, Mission stuff is solid. Oh, absolutely. Paul's company Mission makes it's amazing products. I love them. Great guys. James and Paul are fabulous guys. And it's really top-notch equipment. Everything you get from them, you know, they stand behind. It's built solid. I have a bunch of their stuff here, and it's all great stuff. So, you know, anybody who's on the fence about ever buying anything from Mission, definitely go for it. You know, you're going to get really great quality stuff. So, Nikki T says standard Variax. Yeah, so, yeah, like my previous answer, I haven't really played an actual standard Variax with the neck that it comes with. So I can't really speak to that. David Bowman says, Ibanez AS series is really good. I bought a used AS A80 and it's really good. Oh, it's great, good to know. Ben Bowman says, hey Jason. Hey Ben, thank you for stopping by, appreciate it. Nikki D says, I changed the neck on mine too. There you go, maybe it's a thing, right? All right. Scott Respect says, oh yes, Thornley, need a few presets from him like the Oaf, hint. Yeah, well, that's a good call actually. The problem with doing that, a lot of times it's really labor intensive to put a video together and a preset. And then with some guitar players like Thornley, like I wish he was better known. I mean, he is known, obviously, people know him, but he's not like a household name, which really bothers me because he should be. So any videos I've done that have anything to do with him, and I did do a Dialing in Thornley video, they don't tend to be as viewed. Like people kind of like, oh yeah, whatever, and they move on from it, which is, I really hate it, you know. I actually wrote a guitar article for Premier Guitar Magazine, a column earlier last year, and he was one of the features, and it was about using chromatics in your solos, and I featured Ian in part of that because I just wanted people need to be aware of what he is, and I think I used an example from the Million Days song by Big Rock, one of my favorite solos from them. So Nikki T says, the Rush stuff is great. My students got me into them years ago once I get past Geddy's voice. I love Geddy's voice. Sorry, gotta disagree. I think it's because I grew up from such an early age with Rush. It's just became part of me, right? And I have to say I really like his voice. It's great stuff. Ben Bowen says, that is the main reason people have a hard time getting into them. Yeah, well, I assume you're talking about Geddy's voice, yeah. Robert Ortiz says, thanks for the live stream. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Some preset builders prefer to use FRFR and some use LF Raw on the Helix. Comments. You know what? I've tried them both. I pretty much constantly keep my power cabs on FRFR. It just works for me. So, you know, but again, you know, everybody's preferences are different. That's why I never come out and say, well, this is the only way to do things, or that's the only way to do things. You know, what I say works for me, right? And others will find it different. But I have tried the LF Raw mode. It's nice. It's fine, you know, but I really tend to keep going back to the FRFR mode. Ben Bowman says, I love his voice. Geddy again, I presume, yeah. And me too. I love it too. Nikki T says, 24 fret is a great luxury. I have a friend who has a Guild solid body from the 80s. Yeah, absolutely. It is a nice luxury. Jason Wade. Hey, Jason. How's it going, man? Thanks for stopping by. He says, I recently picked up a Shuriken SR250 at Music Gear Network. Told me about the VDI cable, which is a lifesaver. You don't even need to use the battery going direct to Helix. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I have one of those sitting right here. And actually, I'll give a shout out to another company that I'm affiliated with because they make the best products out there. This is made by Klotz Audio out of Germany. All the cables I use are Klotz cables. They're amazing, amazing, amazing. And they make one of the best VDI cables out there. Beautiful, really nice and flexible. They don't kink up and everything, so really nice. But I always, when I'm plugging in my Variax, I'm always using the VDI cable because, yeah, like you said, no battery, nothing. It's powered up. The only drawback that I could say, because I always like to record a safety by using the USB 7 output to get the DI track when using the Helix as an audio interface, It doesn't work with the VDI cable that I know of, unless I'm missing something, and I would really appreciate anybody telling me if there's a way around that. I got to ask Chad about that, actually. That's a question I've had for a while, because it doesn't record anything out of the USB 7. It's unfortunate, because then I have to go the other route, make sure the battery's charged, and go with cable and whatnot. So anyways, if somebody knows a workaround about that, then let me know. Scott Roos says, Rush is part of the Canadian experience. Oh yeah, big time, big time, big time. Sorry for the coffee slurping. Jason Waits says, I'm late. Sorry I was napping. No need to apologize. Appreciate you coming by. Trauman says, hey Jason, greetings from Finland. What's your favorite hockey team? What a wonderful question. That's my favorite question of the day so far. Thank you for joining us all the way from Finland. I hope you guys are doing all right over there with all this insanity. My favorite hockey team is the Boston Bruins. And I'll probably get flamed for that since I'm a Canadian. But growing up, my family and I would go to Cape Cod every summer from the time I was probably 5 or 6 to the time I was, I think, 16. We probably went 10 years in a row, roughly. And we would drive all through Canada, down through Montreal, Vermont, New Hampshire, the White Mountains, beautiful drive. And then we would drive through Boston. So as this real little kid, 6 years old or whatever, I would I would see the Boston Gardens, and it just stuck with me, and I became a Boston Bruins fan. So what a sad year for all of this to happen. They were doing so well, and now, I don't know, I guess the season's done, or it's going to be later. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyways, yeah, great question. Awesome. Kurt Shredler, hello from Austin. Hey, Kurt, thanks for stopping by. How do you capture Helix audio, video, and voice at the same time for videos? Oh, good question. Okay, so what I do is I have my cameras over here, and behind me I have one for performance videos set up all the time right there, and I have one here for when I do my kind of more instructional type videos. And I have a lapel mic that I'm using here. It's just plugged. This is plugged into my computer, but normally that's going into there. So the camera captures the audio and the video, which is synced already when I load that in. And then I'll process the voice just so it's a little more clear and less boomy or muddy. And then guitar, I'm recording into Cubase through Helix as an audio interface. And then all I do is I bring those together, and I have screen capture software as well. And I just do like 4 mouse clicks, tick, 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 so I have something to line them up with. And then I bring them all into, I use Vegas Pro 17 editing software for video, and I bring those all together and I line up all the files. Then I just sort of group them together so they're one thing that moves together, and I edit from there. So hopefully that answers your question. I've gotten so quick at it now just because I've done so much of it. So great question though. Ben Moe says, yeah, VDI cable is great, but then you cannot be wireless. Good point. Chad Husky says you can change that in the settings. Oh, hey Chad, how's it going? Totally blanked out there. How's it going, brother? Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for stopping by. So are you saying, and I've been meaning to ask you this forever, are you saying that I can record through the VDI and still capture USB 7 direct out of the Helix? If so, that's a game changer for me. So Jason Wade says, hey neighbor, Chad. Oh, you guys live close by. I didn't know that. It's awesome. VDI will work over USB. That's awesome, man. Okay, I'm going to pick your brain about that later. Matt Krill says, I have trouble finding Klotz cables online. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, where those are available. Maybe I should. Maybe I'll have to look into that and let everybody know. What else do we have here? Scott Riesbeck says, speaking of hockey, nice vintage hockey tees, Jason. Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, I like my hockey paraphernalia. It's pretty cool. Macro says, I use my VDI cable Shuriken and use Reaper as my DAW. Helix via USB to my laptop, no issues. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not so much talking about recording via USB. I can do that, but it's capturing the DI USB 7 output of the Helix as an interface. So I get my normal track coming through the Helix, but it's that direct USB 7 that I never get. So I'm hoping, Chad, I haven't heard back from here yet, but yes, in global settings, he says, okay, cool, awesome. So I should have asked you that about a year ago. That would have saved me a lot of heartache. But anyways, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Kurt Shetler says, cool, so it's all edited post. Yes, and when I say edited, it's simply just lining things up, right? There's no as the famous video I did, or the relatively famous video about no post-processing, right? Where some fella told me that I obviously, you know, run all my Helix tones through outboard processing to get them to sound that way. That was a pretty funny situation, that whole thing. But yeah, so it is all edited post for sure. Yeah, there's no way of really doing it. Well, I mean, sure there is a way to do it, but that's just a way that I find my workflow works really quick with that as well. So. Let's see, ever do a video on your live rig setup, in-ear stuff with your feet, guitar choices? Scott Riesbeck asked that. Yeah, you know what, Scott? Honestly, it's the same thing as what I use here. Like literally, I have a board that I'm still working on putting together properly. I've kind of taken it apart lately because I'm going to add some things to it like this. When I get my own one of these, this isn't mine, this was lent to me. I'm going to add this guy to the end, a little Sewer Koji comp, and then I'm going to add this bad boy here, which is the singular sound Eros looper. So I'm in the process of fixing that up, but I usually, whenever I'm playing live, I usually just go with a stomp, to be honest with you, and it does everything I need it to do. So anyways, yeah. Chad Husky says yes in the global things. That's awesome. So cool. Thank you. Thanks, bud. And Matt Krill says, yeah, I have a video that goes over my setup. I do, which is going to be mildly changed in the near future. I'll do another video about the pedal board once it's done. Jason Wade says, man, loving the Rev G20 videos. I've been thinking about getting one because you can go direct and have the benefit of two-note software. Well, I got to say, it's really cool. And it's, oh, by the way, before I go on, anybody want great guitar straps? These guys are a great company and they make just the most amazing straps. They're called Moody guitar straps. Little plug for them. But yeah, here's the, there's a little Red G20, man. Nothing to it. 9 pounds and tons of killer tones in it. I did, you know, those 4 cable method videos with them very recently. I also just did an overview video with that and a performance video using it. The two-note software is really, really cool. Really cool. Really, really neat stuff. Moving the microphones around and whatnot. That would be something that people who are into IRs too could use with the Helix, right? Capturing their own IRs to load into the Helix or in a DAW. Very cool stuff. Yeah, Jason, I don't think you'd be disappointed in the amp. This is not mine. It's, again, a good friend of mine close by, Hoogie, who I have my string endorsement through and whatnot. He's in with all these companies, so he gets me stuff to do some videos with and whatnot. But I'm almost thinking of grabbing a Rev just to have an amp to do certain videos with. The G20 is amazing. Really, really cool stuff. The folks at Rev did a great job with it. And that is it for the chat now. There's a little bit of banter going on back and forth. Yeah, so talk a little bit about some other stuff I have coming up. I do have some more Marketplace presets coming up. I have this one series that I kind of got the idea of, which is called Classic, put this back down, Classic 80s series. And I have volume 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they're loosely kind of designed to do like a, go after kind of a ballpark of a tone. I don't want to come out and say it's an artist preset. A lot of folks ask me, can you do, you know, put something on the Marketplace with this artist sound and this artist sound? And I really hate doing that for the previously mentioned reasons of everybody's guitar is different, everybody's playing style is different, everybody's monitoring system is different, everybody's room is different, everybody's everything is different, right? So for me to say, oh, this is going to sound like band X, people are going to get and go, no, it doesn't. It doesn't sound anything like that, right? So I kind of try to get things in the ballpark. So, you know, one of them was for like a Tears for Fears style tone. One of them was for like something like Toto's Hold the Line. And I have another one coming up. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but one that I've been asked about a lot. And that should be out hopefully next week. Things are kind of slower getting onto Marketplace right now, understandably, because of everything that's going on. And I also have another cool one that's up there ready to go, which is like a dual plexi, Marshall plexi one, which I really like and I'm really, really happy with. And hopefully that'll be up really soon. One more question. Taylor 315. Hey Taylor, how's it going? Hi Jason, are you planning on doing any more theory videos? I really enjoy your lessons. Yes, I do have another one that I've almost ready to go. Just got to get to put the finishing touches on that. I really enjoy doing them, but there is an interesting thing with those in that they don't seem to get as much engagement for some reason. And it's really strange because I have a few up there. There's a oh, what is the series called now? Arpeggios. It's all about arpeggios and intervals. Chords, intervals, arpeggios. And it's some of the most important information I think any guitar player could have at their disposal. And maybe some folks already know it, but I think those are some of the most useful videos. I have some about, you know, the knowing your fretboard and mastering your different pentatonic patterns in different ways, thinking about them in different ways than have normally been taught. So I do have those up for anybody who wants to go. And I have playlists on the channel of all the lesson videos kind of lumped together, but I definitely do have some. But yeah, it's funny, you know, I can do a Helix video that gets thousands of views, and I put these lesson videos up and like there's like 400 or 500 views on it, and it's kind of weird. It doesn't bother me in the sense that I go, oh, more people should be watching my stuff, but I really feel like there's a lot of information there that could help a lot of folks because of the questions I get. And that's the funny thing, I'll get these questions like, how do you do this, how do you do that? I do a video and then it's like, oh, well, just go do another Helix video. You know, it's like, okay, I'll do another Helix video, but you should really go watch this too, right? But anyways, it's, you know, it is what it is. I am not going to stop doing them though, because I think if I can get those to grow and get more engagement, I think there is a potential for a lot of folks to get a lot out of it. And that's really what it's all about. So, left field question by Jamtrack says, what's your favorite Dick's Picks volume release? It's not what it sounds like. If you don't know what it is, that answer suffices. I don't know what it is. Fill me in, please. Now you've intrigued me. Taylor says, that's odd. I really dig your lesson videos. Yeah, you know, YouTube world is a strange and funny place though. And you really never know. You put a video out that you think is going to do well and, you know, it gets no engagement. And then you put something else out that you go, you know, this isn't going to do well and it explodes. It's so bizarre. And I'm kind of done trying to figure it out. It's a really weird thing. But at the same time, you know, as somebody who put a YouTube content out, is a lot of work goes into a video, and then sometimes I have to say somebody wants a certain video and I can't really do it because I know it's going to be very labor intensive, but it's not going to get kind of the engagement that it needs to for me to justify putting the work into it, if that makes sense. And I hate to be that guy, but you know, it kind of does have to work like that to a certain degree. Alan Baker says, I love your interval videos. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think there's some really good information in there. And it's stuff that I use non-stop in my playing. Like this is the stuff that's going through my head as I'm playing all the time. So I think some folks could get some real benefit from it. Scott Riesbeck says, I've definitely been looking for a Blackstar Mark II or Series 1 preset and orange amp preset-ish stuff. Yeah, I do have an orange one up on a dialing in video that I did a while back. So check that out. It's up on Custom Tone, so that's a free one too. So if you want to take a look at that. David Bowman says, love the lessons. Thank you so much, David. Appreciate it. Jason Wade says, so call me a Helix newbie, but I have other digital software hardware running through my Mixer 2 computer. Is there a video explaining how to use the Helix LT as just an interface, bypassing all effects? You know, Jason, I think I have one up. Search my channel for Helix audio interface. I believe I do, and it's so bad. I have like 600 plus videos up now. And it's so funny, I'll be thinking of new video ideas and I'll kind of go, oh, I got an idea. And then I go, wait a second, I better look. And I'm like, oh, I did one like that. It's so strange, but I know it sounds bad, but check it out and see if I have it up there. I have been thinking of doing an updated one about that because it is a topic I get a lot of questions about too. Taylor 315 says, I think you're a great instructor. Thanks so much, Taylor. Appreciate that. That is much, much appreciated. Jason says, okie dokie. Right on. Any other questions, guys? How long have we been going here? 63 minutes. My goodness. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll wind it down in a few minutes unless there's... Oh, there's another question. Taylor, would you rank your Yamaha guitars up there with $1,000 plus guitars? Oh, God, yeah, absolutely. You know, I've talked about this in the past with them. I mean, the SA2200 is, I don't know, $2,600, $2,700 guitar. That's made in Japan. That's just second to none, that guitar. I'm really past this point of feeling that guitar has to be expensive to use it. I got past that quite a while ago. I've had Sewer guitars, I've had PRS guitars, nothing against any of them. They're all amazing instruments. But you know, when I really switched over a bunch of years ago to Godin, I realized that these are the guitars that anybody are accessible to anybody. Anybody can afford these. And they're amazing guitars. You know, sometimes did I do a little upgrade to it? Yeah, change the string trees, change a bridge, yeah. The Yamaha ones I have not changed anything on. These are all 100% stock as you would purchase them. The Rev Stars are amazing, where there's one and there's another one, the 620 and the 702B. They take them out of the case, they play beautifully. So what you're hearing in all my videos is just those guitars stock, right? So yeah, and those are all sub $1,000 guitars that to me, you know, this Rev Star here does everything that a Les Paul would do for me for far less money for anybody to purchase, right? The Pacificas I love. I had no complaints about them. Are there little things if I was doing a custom one that I might change? Yeah, but very minor stuff, you know, maybe different bridge just because I'm used to it from previous guitars and whatnot. So anyways. Jamtrack says, it's live Grateful Dead shows released by their vault archivist Dick Letval. They call Dick's Pick. Oh, okay, cool. I haven't seen that at all. I'll have to take a look into that for sure. Jason Waite says, I use THU a lot as well, but have to use my Axe.io. That Axe.io, I have one too. That's a great audio interface. I got to do a video about that. That's a really killer audio interface. But yeah, take a look and see. I think I use the Helix interface when I'm doing any Helix stuff, and the Axe.io is used just for times where I do just need something that's not Helix related to use. So I do need to have them both. But Scott Riesbeck says, love the Lone Star preset, Modern Country. Thanks, no problem. Appreciate you using it, and glad you like it. Nicky T says you don't have to spend a lot on a guitar. There's so much hype as long as you know how to evaluate. You're absolutely right. And Taylor says the Yamahas seem like killer guitars. They really are. I'm really, really happy with them, and I don't feel like I'm wanting for anything else. I do have a Tele. I have a Fender Tele Elite just because I don't have a Yamaha Tele. So I do have that because it does its thing, right? It does what a Tele does. Ian Barrett says Yamaha makes great stuff. I had a $200 Yamaha acoustic that felt and played more like an $800 guitar. Yeah, that's true. Their acoustics are amazing. Really, really great stuff. Alan Baker says your Beat It demo was badass. Nice different rhythm sections. Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, that was a fun one to do, to kind of recreate some of those parts. And I've always, that solo was probably the first rock electric guitar solo I heard when I was about 10 years old that just turned my head and just made me go, wow, this is incredible. And I love that. It was awesome stuff. So right on, guys. Well, what can I say? I think I'm going to pack it in here. Thank you guys all so much for stopping by. I'll probably do this again maybe next weekend. We'll see what's going on. If you guys, you know, throw some questions my way that I can cover, although we had a load of them, so that's awesome. I appreciate that. You know, check out my marketplace presets. Not that I feel anybody has to buy anything, but you know, it just helps me to keep this stuff going. And I appreciate any of the support that I get there. Yeah, thank you guys for all the support. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you for all the kind words and everything as well. So that's awesome. So for now, guys, I guess I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I enjoyed hanging out with all you guys. And hopefully I'll be back soon. I'll have a bunch of new videos coming out this week. Should have something tomorrow on my channel, something new. So check that out and share it, you know, with whoever you think would like it and all that good stuff. And hit the little notification bell. You know, I always just laugh when people say that, but I think it really does help for people to know that new content is coming out, which then helps me to create other content as well. So, all right, guys, thank you so much again. I'm going to tune off for now, and we'll talk real soon. Ciao, guys.